Hello, everyone watching at home. You're with Adelaide Eternal. I'm Sarven McLinton, and with me is Beckett Wolfe.
Hello.
So Beckett is very deep in this tournament, the Bluebell Open. We are here for the semi-finals. So went something like 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and then won like, what was it? 1-2 in
Mm,
somewhere in there against
against
Juzza.
Jund. Yeah,
Um,
Juzzer and Jund.
Juzza on Jund. And now looping back into the semi-finals, you face Juzza again, uh, top seed.
Top seed, yeah.
Top seed. So Juzza's on the play.
Juzzer actually bashed that he was second and he actually bashed for first instead
Just
of IDing.
yeah, one of the seed makes
Yeah.
sense. Total sense.
And got it. Got it.
Nice. So Juzza's first in first. So you kind of got to punch above your weight here. So hopefully this is going to be a good match. We've already seen Juzza's deck before. It was Jund, and it was I don't know if we saw any initiative creatures, but it was incredibly good at stealing the initiative. With snuff outs and those kind of removal spells and a little bit of controlling elements to it. It's kind of like Jund turns into a control deck. So
Well,
in this
I was
match.
talking with Dean at the time, who was also top eight in from SA. And I think even you guys and we were talking, I was like, oh yeah, the matchup's pretty good. And I was like, yeah, I'm quietly confident. The games were close. But some of the things about my match with Juzza in the first round was I didn't actually I that he mulled two games that I was on the play and so I didn't actually love my chances here. Now Juzza here is mulled to five on the play.
Multi five on the play, and you had the opening Once Upon a Time into Troll with Reanimate. So that's
Yeah.
a pretty nice sequence, given that your hand is actually like really top heavy. Like it's all you only really start the game on 3 and 4, which is pretty darn slow on the draw. So this is a good play finding selecting the Troll, not selecting the Scion of Draco, for
Yeah,
example.
well, I think I mulled to six, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mull to six. But yeah, I get my Xander's Lounge because I can just do it all in one turn.
Cool. So you're basically going to have perfect mana here, perfect domain, um, and you also get a land, and you get a 6/4, basically unblockable in most instances.
It's pretty strong, and we'll remember from I think my round two, my opponent did this and almost killed me, and they had four lands left. I've got backups. I've got a 3 drop, a 4 drop.
Ooh.
Blah, missed it.
Whoa.
But you know what? I'm okay
It's
with
not
it
going to
because
be
now
an
my opponent's down to 3 cards. So I'm happy to trade off cards against an opponent who mulled twice on the play.
especially since all of that happened in those turns where you were kind of anemic, and now turn 3 Slimefoot, turn 4 initiative, you're no longer anemic.
Yeah, I'm actually feeling really good. So even though I obviously wanted the reanimate to resolve, it was kind of risky
Oh,
because it takes a lot of life.
yeah.
And Bombardiers is good, but not as good by itself, obviously.
No, it's basically a setup for next turn. So
Yeah.
Bombardiers next turn play the 4 drop or play removal spell and something else, like being able to set up for something really, really good.
And this is the first time I think I've ever cast Slimefoot and Squee in
Oh,
my
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
I never saw it in testing. Didn't even see it in testing. But it looks so good. And it's
So
perfect here because Broadside Bombardiers is menace. If they kill the Slimefoot, it's got that regen thing.
this,
So
this
I
is
just
kind of the reason why in Highlander you just want to be on proactive threats, because all of these cards are 0 points. Laelia, Slimefoot, Broadside Bombardiers, they're all 3 drops. And you don't really need to think about building your deck. Just go, how do I have the mana to support them? I'll play all of these incredibly good 3 drops and incredibly good 4 drops and incredibly good 2 drops. Just play them all, and you don't really have to think about it. But hypothetically, if all of these were 1 point, just hypothetically, all the really good 3 drops were 1 point, all the really good 4 drops were 1 point, Morlock was 1 point, they're all 1 point, then suddenly you actually have to make some decisions around how to build a deck. And every Jund deck would look different. The more controlling Jund, the more mid-range Jund, the more aggressive Jund, all the 4-color decks will look different. The one that plays the haste creatures, the one that plays the value creatures. Anyway, that's my opinion on the points list, which I'm allowed to vocalize now. I'm not on the committee, so I can just have my old man rants at cloud opinion and
he's so happy
care
about it.
about public image.
Now, once again, Morlock essentially trade for Slimefoot there, and I'm happy about it. It's again, my opponent's on the play, so they're down a card, and they've mulled twice, so I'm up 3 cards. So trading 1 for 1, I feel, is really good for me. I've still got plenty of gas, so I'm hoping to trade cards off.
Yeah,
And
you
they're
actually
only
want
he's
to.
only chipping in for 2.
Slimefoot is a card in the graveyard. Like Slimefoot is actively good in the graveyard.
Well, he needs the Saproling, to be fair.
Oh,
You got to sack the Saproling.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but in any case, essentially, like my opponent only chipped in for 2, and we traded Morlock for Slimefoot.
Yep. All right, makes sense. And you'd love it if Morlock trades for Slimefoot, given that Morlock could have traded for a far more broken card that's in hand.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. So I can't block because of Menace.
Bombardier is showing its power. That menace, that pseudo evasion, amazing. It's so hard to block that creature. You just have to remove it, and you have to remove it before it attacks. It's so hard to interact with.
So many games boiled down to like, so a lot of my decisions over this event were, oh, Bombardiers will get me out, or if I draw Bombardiers here, or my out is this into Bombardiers, because it just has so much potential for damage and for getting through.
So true. And here, Snuff Out showing its power, and then suddenly Carnage Interpreter with 4 clues.
Crazy, right? It's crazy.
It is.
Snuff Out. I mean, I felt quite far ahead after the Morlock, because once again, like I said, my opponent chipped in for 2. It's not real big damage, and we traded cards.
And you're not going to
look at me now.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to kill them before the clues become relevant. So the fact they have 0 cards in hand now, and you're thinking, oh, I can stabilize. The problem is the time it takes you to stabilize is time that it takes them to start building back up again with the clues. And they can also fling the clues if they need. So nothing small can actually exist. It's always got to be big things.
Yeah, they've both got Menace.
Yeah, this is perfect example of be proactive. And right now, Juzza was just way more proactive than you. Just everything was coming out.
And I was playing spells. I played a 2-drop reanimate, a 3-drop, a 4-drop, and a 5-drop.
And you've got hasters in hand, and yeah, you're jockeying for. Oh, okay, nice. We get to see some combat math. No, they both have menace. Maybe I can block. No. If only that Saproling was still around.
And you can also see how, Misstep is that one of those wrong answers. Like we were talking in the other video about how powerful Misstep is. How much better would it be if it was swords? But that's that no wrong answers, only wrong no wrong threats, only wrong answers. Where swords probably would be the best thing to draw. It's true. But you need that lineup. You take that risk of it not lining up your answer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because there's not, Deathrite Shaman or some 1-drop threat wouldn't be that good either. It would let me block Menace, I guess. But they can throw a clue token at it. But I can see that swords is the best, but it still needs to line up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, would you rather draw swords to plowshares, and you want to draw swords to plowshares 50% of the games, but you want to draw broadside bombardiers 100% of the games because it's always going to be relevant.
And my opponent hit River this charm, and it might seem like a lucky top deck, but to be very honest with you, they could have just thrown a clue token there, hit me for an extra 2, and even if I got to untap and stabilize with the Seasoned Engineer, let's say they whiffed and hit a land or something, I had nothing.
Yeah.
I think the Riveter's Charm was a lock, but like locked it in place. But realistically, I don't think I was winning that game even if they whiffed the next 2 draws.
No.
Right?
But proactivity. Yeah. Just able to command the initiative, and literally they were able to take the initiative. And here you're kind of just stuck with a very familiar board state for those. Like, look at that board state. Both people have the Undercity. Both people are on 4 life. both people have haste creatures on the battlefield. Like this is Highlander right now. This is what the meta game looks like. So what if you are not playing this deck, if you are not playing the initiative, if you are not playing proactive magic and creature-based magic, then you need a plan for this exact board state. Like that's what you're contending with.
Yeah, yeah. Like it looks closer than it is really.
Mhm.
I got absolutely spankeroonied. I mean the Riveter's Charm stopped me from being able to bash with the Seasoned Dungeoneer and threaten lethal. But like worst case scenario, my opponent could have, cracked some clues and held back. Like I just feel like there were outs. I mean, I guess they can't hold back a blocker because Seasoned Dungeoneer is unblockable, but it didn't feel that close, to be honest.
Mhm.
Despite the life totals and despite a mulligan to 5.
Yeah. Yep.
And I thought it was well played from Juzza. I was really impressed. And not only was I impressed, but terrified because I was losing to Juzza in ideal circumstances. To me, that's ideal. On the draw, sure, but trading cards for the first 3-4 turns.
Yeah. The science checks out. Like you should be favored, but you weren't, but it didn't pan out.
And not that close. It was, it
And what
wasn't a crushing, but it was pretty convincing.
And yeah, that's it. Like your once upon a time, and then be able to reanimate turn 2, etc. Your ideal scenario, like, would be on the draw, turn 1 mana dork, turn 2 either 3-drop or 2-drop. Territorial Kabu when they kill the 1-drop, and then turn 3, you've got a 3-drop or a 4-drop. Like that's your ideal scenario, but Juzza's deck is built to prey on that. So many fatal push effects to so many ways to kill that turn 1 mana dork to try and set
Yeah.
you. But
And
you're
I lost to him on the play against the Malta 6 last time I played him.
Mhm.
So I feel like even if I can scrape this one out, how in the hell am I going to win game 3?
Exactly. And Juzza knows when to mull. It's just engineered some great
That's me reading. Is it really that good?
yeah. Um,
I've got one. Where's mine?
so you basically just changed 1 or 2 cards, right? It was like bring in
I,
the
I think it was just Winds of Abandon for
Winds of
Quasali Pride Mage.
Yeah, and I mean, this is already a better hand than you had last time because you've got the turn 1 Delighted Halfling. But
Yeah,
the Scalding Tarn is a bit of an awkward fetch.
big time. Yeah. But
Tiger,
I've got the Troll. The Troll's huge.
yeah,
Um,
Tiger and then Troll gets Scrubland.
but it's risky to add Thought Seizers.
Yes,
But what have we got? I mean, Duress doesn't hit it, Inquisition doesn't hit it, and Dread Fugue doesn't hit it. So it's only Thoughtseize, to be fair.
true. And if you, sick rip a land, it's fantastic, but you're insulated against it if you don't. If you don't sick rip a land, you troll into a Scrubland
Probably
or
or Xanders or something. Yeah, Scrubland. Yeah.
something along those lines. Attack for 1, and then the following turn you are just golden. You're set up. You're proactive. You got 3-drops. You got haste creatures. You got 4-drop lined up after that. Literally, look at your hand. This is what I love: Aowen, Laelia, Broadside Bombardiers. Like
It's a great
everything has
hand.
haste.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And one's removal,
creature.
one's a little lock piece, one's a sort of generate value in Laelia, and one's a spot removal and broadside. It's quite diverse.
That's a very good opening from Juzza as well.
Yeah.
Again, disciplined
Yeah.
keep on a perfect snuff out. Hey, Stalactite Stalker became a Necrotile with snuff out. Throwbacks to one of the previous rounds.
Oh, yeah.
If you've been listening, all of you'll get the deep cuts. But you ended up ripping the land, which is good.
Yeah, really good.
Obviously, the snuff out was just backbreaking because you would have set up a really nice 3. So good work, snuff
But
out.
now I get to fetch Xanders, which is my tapped land, and spend the mana to troll for Scrubland. So I'm sort of still using my mana. I'm not like leaving mana on the table.
Yeah, you've definitely you're set up from turn 3 onwards, whereas Juzza has proactively got this Stalactite Stalker out. And so
Yeah.
we're going to see how good is Stalactite Stalker. Are you going to be able to tempo out?
Got Menace as well. I mean, gosh.
Menace, so good. Like
Yeah. And the
Menace.
snuff out just felt so strong.
Mhm.
Even there, just for that 1 mana, it just felt so strong.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm feeling really worried. Really worried.
You just got to hope Jazza, like, I don't know, misses a land or something. You're at that point where you're both kind of haymakering into each other.
But we played three. We got to a best of three last time. So this is my fifth game against Jazza, and it just feels like it's been consistent threats. He hasn't missed a step
Absolutely.
in both play and like pressure on the board, and he's like I don't feel like he's misplayed.
Absolutely. Yep. Just a clinic.
Yeah. So it's definitely it's scary.
This is again a discussion we had in round one or two, where Tarmogoyf just, even though the initiative and value, like everyone's looking for value. Oh, I want to get value, pressure and value. Tarmogoyf,
No haste,
no haste,
no trample,
no trample, no initiative, like nothing like that. It's just
no
keyword,
ETB. Yeah.
like 2 mana 4/5. That's enough right now. Like that, it does so much. It does so much in the format right now.
What do you name here?
So let's see. The hand was removal spell, Thoughtseize, misstep. Let's see. I think I named Blood Chief's Thirst. I think I don't care about them spending mana on Thoughtseize. I don't care about them using misstep to counter Ignoble Hierarch. So yeah, Blood Chief's Thirst.
I was in the tank for a while because obviously the Blood Chief's Thirst can't hit the Peacekeeper unless they get to 4 mana. So I was in the tank for a while on this one. So I know that assuming that they're going to whiff the next turn,
Yeah,
all they can do is Thoughtseize.
waste time Thoughtseizing you. Like my logic is Blood Chief's Thirst. By naming it, it's like discarding it because it's not against your hand. Blood Chief's Thirst hits nothing unless it's going to be 6 mana. Like it's going to cost them 6 mana.
Yeah. It can hit the Hierarch, which is not irrelevant, but I agree. I went Thoughtseize because I just wanted to ruin their turn, and I wanted the Bombardier, and I wanted Erwin for Goyf badly.
Yeah. Are we going to get to see Erwin like in, like, because I think this card is really good, and I've seen a lot of lists that don't run it. Like
I cut it in my
don't
testing,
it's there.
and then I put it back in right at the end.
Yeah, it's just it does a like back. Remember when Questing Beast was first in, and we were like all over Questing Beast. We built every deck around Questing Beast. This is such a good card. It goes into everything: control, tempo, everything. And now look how many your hand is Questing Beast deck. Look, that hand is all Questing Beasts, and they're all like technically better than Questing Beast right now. Like we don't even run Questing Beast in the deck.
Yeah.
Like Gigantha is so good.
Well, you're gonna see your Erwin, and I got it pretty lucky that the Minskin Boo went into the bin off the Surveil.
Yeah,
And I also got lucky that I ripped land.
Like Juzza was very disciplined there, not to just keep the mints. Oh, leave the mints on top because then I'm gonna draw a land and then I'm gonna play it.
It's powerful. It's too slow.
Yeah, pressure. Make sure that you either draw the land or you draw the threats.
And here, the vigilance and haste together is so relevant. Like the fact that I can just bash for 6, retake the initiative, not the mechanic, but the concept. And I've still got a 3/3, backed up there untapped. Like it's such a huge turnaround. And yeah, I mean, Erwin was fantastic.
Yeah, Erwin,
exactly what she's supposed to do there.
Like I've only seen people playing it in the like the red white mana crypt style initiative decks and so on. But we're in 4 colors, maybe 5 colors. I think Erwin is a staple in all of them. Like all the decks. Yeah. If you can play the colors, you play this card. It's so good. Now
I wish I had another one.
Oh, if only we had another Erwin. Like, wow. Before I thought that the game was over, but Sheoldred changes things a lot. And look at how good that really little stalactite stalker has just been pecking away 3 damage.
Yeah. Menace as well.
Little Delver there. And now Sheoldred just has the ability to just, go ham on your life total and get them back up to 9 next turn, which is phenomenal. So luckily, Broadside Bombardiers is 0 points, and we just play it and we turn it sideways and we continue our 8 magic Um,
The
who needs
broadside
when you can just play these
bombardiers, man.
cards that are good.
I mean, you saw how strong it was in game one against me.
Hmm.
And look at it here. It's just so good.
So good. And you get to fling, literally, doesn't matter, you know, Anointed Peacekeeper or Aowen, whatever. It doesn't matter. You could technically fling Aowen, um, or and keep your vigilance blocker, you know, like Anointed Peacekeeper has vigilance, or you can just let it die.
So I fling
Just
whatever
fling,
whatever
fling.
Shieldred blocks, I
Lethal.
fling at the face,
Look at that.
and it's lethal.
Yeah, yeah,
It's so strong, man.
yeah. It's almost like all these, like, so the thing is, Laelia, all these things, they're great cards. They're all great cards. Um, my opinion is, uh, Broadside Bombardiers. Yes, everyone's like, wow, this is a very good card. Um, if you say Broadside Bombardiers should be a point, then you should also agree that many of these other cards should also be points, because
They're
otherwise
all around the same level.
Bombardier out and then they just put another one in because they're all
Mhm.
good. They're all good. They're all largely interchangeable. They're just proactive haste creatures or proactive thick creatures or proactive initiative creatures. You know, point a lot of them and then make a choice. Then make deck building a choice to people. Make deck building exciting again. Um,
Hashtag.
this is interesting. So you take out two of the 3 drops and you put in a bit of disruption because you're on the draw.
Correct. Yeah. Especially Archon, I think we talked about previously, not as good on the draw. And Laelia needs to build, and
Too small on the draw.
it's a bit too small. Like it has to attack to be good, and it can't attack late when there's questing beasts and goyfs and stuff that can block it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even want to trade with a Mosswort Dead Bridge, you
Yeah.
know?
This is that's a very disciplined sideboard there, because I think a lot of people will be very excited to keep all their threats in because this is a mid-range mirror, and in mid-range mirrors you don't want the disruption. You just want to like haymaker, haymaker. But when you're on the draw and your opponent is so efficient, like Jazz's deck has been so efficient with snuff outs and so on, really efficient, you also need some efficiency, even though those threats like, oh, I want a flying 2/3, you know, like, yeah, it's a flying 2/3, but thought seizing them is often like you just need to make a play on turn 1, make a play on turn 2, make a play on turn 3, and thought seize is going to get the job done.
Well, and, yeah, and Thoughtseize ruins their plan to do exactly that as well. It's not, yeah, Thoughtseize isn't just about getting rid of a powerful spell. It can be useful when you're ruining their curve.
Speaking of curve, this is an opening. Like turn 1 Ragavan is terrifying when you are on the draw.
And so brutal, I've got Bowmasters.
You got
So
both, like,
like
you want
I
to be able to
can
wait a turn. Can I wait a turn? Can I like
I can't let my opponent have a free Lotus Petal for free. Just for free. It doesn't cost them anything. It's a free Lotus Petal.
Yeah, and this is again another disciplined play. Most people will look at this board state and they'd be like, "How bad is one Ragavan hit? Because my Bowmasters answers it cleanly, and I get up, and also my Snuff Out is going to answer cleanly their big threat."
Correct.
Like that's I totally get that draw, but the discipline play here is to make sure you do not let something snowball, because once it snowballs, every other match has been snowballing, right? It's either
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But this is great. Luckily, your opponent played one of the relatively few other targets for Orcish Bowmasters to get profit off.
Yeah.
I
100%.
think Jund doesn't play that many 1 toughness creatures and not many minor dorks at all. Most
And
Jund decks max out at 4 max,
yeah.
and one of them's Deathrite.
And it's the best one for them. It's the Jund colors. But yeah, I'm just happy to have a target and happy to have that, exactly what we were just talking about at the start of this game, that curve.
Mm-hmm.
Snuff, I had a 1-drop on Snuff Out, sort of, and a 2-drop, and now I've got a 3-drop.
Yep. This
I'm curving, and the hand didn't look good, to be honest. It looked fine, but it didn't look good.
And yeah, this is a good example of when your answer lines up perfectly. Like if your answer lines up perfectly, it looks great. But the best part is Orcish Bowmasters is an answer sometimes, but it's also pressure. There's not much pressure, but it's something that's proactive that you can do. Worst case scenario, ping them for 1, make 2 power, go to your turn. as opposed to a Thoughtseize in other games that we've seen where your opponents have had Thoughtseize and you just run them over. Speaking of running them over, 2-drop, 3-drop, and next turn 4-drop. It's like paint by numbers magic.
Yeah, the scoos though. I mean, I've always been a big fan of scoos.
Mm.
I love the card. I love the design. It's one of those cards for me that I got crushed by it in Legacy for the
Mhm.
first. It just got printed, and someone played it in Legacy, and I was like, "What is this? How is this?" Like to me, I was like, "This is broken." You know, at the time, I was young. I was naive. This is before Ren and Six, right? I, I was like, "This is busted." You gain life, and it gets bigger, and it interacts with like graveyard combos. And it's like good in the mid range. Like it just does it all. I loved it.
Surely
Um,
this is the best 2-drop that has ever been printed in the world
and will ever be
and
printed.
will ever be printed. And now people are cutting Scavenging Ooze. So, like,
Well, I'm
it's
not playing
power
it.
creep. It's power creep, right?
Yeah.
It's
But
really,
I do think it is still strong. I can see why Jun plays it.
hmm. Yeah, yeah. Jund often falls into the control role, and um, with it is this high, prevalence of removal spells. But I think the key here is if you're playing mid-range Magic, which is 90% of Highlander right now, if you're playing mid-range Magic, make your mid-range threats, apply pressure, do it fast, and potentially interact with your opponent, like interact in some way, removing something, taxing something, denying them something, do something along those lines, and you're generally playing Magic correctly in Highlander at the moment. Scavenging Ooze does that.
Yeah, there's one Ragavan left in the bin, and my opponent's in the tank here. That you'll notice the clock's on their time, but I got to say I'm in the tank as well. About
Ooh, ooh.
I forgot about that.
That's did that bring back some traumatic memories
Oh,
for you?
I
That's
just need a minute, so.
if you need a breather,
Oh,
this is
no.
rough. So not only is it a free way because hasn't used any mana, a free way to get rid of your things. It's also a creature in the bin for Scavenging Ooze to get even bigger.
Two,
Forces you to
three creatures in the bin.
3 creatures in the bin. Forces you to block because otherwise they take the
The
initiative.
initiative,
Or
yeah.
you take like up to 5-6 damage, right? Um, and
After I've snuffed out, so I'm not winning the race
yeah,
against the
you've
Scoos
lost
when
the
I've
snuff out
snuffed.
as well, and your life total was really low. Um, yeah, this is rough. I don't know
What would you do? I was in the tank on this for a while, and I'm still not sure if my play was correct. I
I think
and erred. I've got some interesting plays. I can play Queen Marchesa, introduce Monarch, and win it back. I
mhm.
can play Caves and win back the initiative, or I can just play fourth and try to chump block and win Monarch and initiative.
Yeah, I think that
They're all interesting options,
they're
right?
all lines. They're all lines, and I think that here it's the game is about your opponent having 0 cards. So now, how do we make sure that your opponent is stays in the Stone Age? And uh, the answer to that is to deny them the initiative. So, like to chump here, maintain the initiative so that it ticks over, and then play what is your choice? Probably fourth next, and then play fourth for 2 creatures and attack with one of them, and then you have the monarch, you have the initiative, and you have a chump blocker with the other fourth token for the scavenging ooze, and you've denied them the ability to draw their 5th mana to play like that
Well, you can
silly.
see I'm running through all this in my head, and you can see how long I'm thinking about it. I even get the inactivity time there. But
Oh,
this is what I said. This is how I like to play Magic. I'm not. I don't think I got up and made a coffee, but like sometimes I'll like go and make a coffee and just like stretch out and think about it. I that was my front runner. Exactly what you just said. I was terrified of top deck spot removal on the second fourth token,
yeah. Oh, that's
and
horrible.
then I've just lost.
Yes.
As far as I'm because they've got Monarch and Initiative and a fatty like I've done and it took me like I was in the tank for a long time. I finally decided not to block.
Interesting. So you're content with going down to 7 life, because this
Not
gives
happy about it.
you open. It leaves you open to be able to get the initiative back with just the 1/1 and play a not haste creature.
Correct. Oh,
Interesting.
and I can also chump with him later.
Next turn. Yeah. Okay. So don't
But
just
I'm not convinced my play was correct, by the way. I'm not convinced.
thing.
Because also I now can forge instead of Lostwell. So my orc's bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise the forge is sort of like lost if I chump.
I
Because I
see.
keep initiative, but I've got nothing to put it on.
That's a good point. No, I actually you've talked me around. So because if you keep the initiative and you don't get to trigger forge and lose that element of value, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so this way it's very similar to exactly your play,
It's way safer.
except I now have an extra chump blocker for
Extra
the more dangerous
forge trigger.
turn.
Yeah.
This because his swing next turn vies for not just initiative but also monarch. So
Mm.
I'd rather have the chump blocker for the monarch initiative battle rather than the extra chump blocker for the just initiative battle.
Yeah.
And all he gets off the first initiative is a basic land,
Well, yeah, I was just worried about the basic land going and
switching on
unlocking, what do you call it? The
Minsk and Boo. Yeah,
unlock so many like
yeah.
5-drop answers. Like,
Questing Beast.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was kind of like thinking about. 4-drop and 5-drop answers. But I think you're right. I think this is in the end, this is the better play because you're just going to end up with more insurance against the top deck, the
Yeah.
one top deck that they get. And if they don't top deck, you win.
Yeah.
But if they do top deck,
This can beat Minsk and Boo because I can trade Questing Beast, Abrupt Decay.
wow, that's well thought out. No, you made the right play, I believe. Like this is way better. You beat Minsk and Boo, you beat single removal spell. Um, yeah, you beat pretty much everything using this play. And it involved having to just take 6 damage.
But it's super scary because we were talking in the earlier videos about being on low life and how your decision makings get overly conservative when your opponent's threatening lethal. And
Mm,
now I'm in a position where Scooz is lethal. I have to keep up a chump blocker at all times. And I've already played around the top deck spot removal. So now I'm locked into keeping up 2 chump blockers for Scooz.
wow.
That's it. That's my lot in life.
Wow.
My lot in life is 2 chump blockers for Scooz at all times.
That's
Which
amazing.
is now I'm sort of regretting it. I'm like, oh, this is not
Yeah.
a good position to be in.
Yeah.
And it's such a drag because the Scooz, every time I chump, the Scooz gains life, which slows down my ability to just bash out of nowhere.
Mm,
So like even now, I'm not sure what the correct line is.
interesting.
I was sort of regretting it, but sort of not. Like it didn't feel quite as clean as I thought. It's a really tough one.
Yeah. So now I guess the game plan is um yeah, okay. I was about to say now I guess the game plan is like setting up, you know, just sitting behind the Undercity, sitting behind some blockers and building up and then like going for a big flunge at some point. But I think this is probably leaving you much more open to easier wins, just getting in for 4 and then playing something else. Well, not
Yeah.
attacking with Marquesa will be like, the people, oh, but I want to attack. How much do you want to
It's what
attack
she's
without
made for.
attack with? Oh, I want to
It's
attack.
such and it's so brutal because part of you is like, oh, should be good at winning the Monarch back.
Mm,
I've already won the Monarch, but I'm like, well, there's nothing I can get hit by. There's nothing I want to get hit by for the rest of the game.
hmm.
So she might as well be a 1/1 death touch for
Yeah, yeah,
4.
yeah. That's a good point.
Because so
Incidentally, speaking of death touch, someone death touch you in your room. Yeah, it's so dark. Someone,
I'm trying to
yeah,
light it up.
might flick your light on. Can't even see you. Um, so meanwhile, underground mortuary off the fetch land, beautiful new additions to Highlander
How
and
do I look?
Eternal. Beautiful, excellent.
Yeah,
Um,
Queen Marchesa's the 1/1 death toucher right now. but that's what I need. My rule is now 2 chump blockers at all times because I feel so far ahead with Monarch and Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get blasted out of nowhere.
Yeah. And this is something that Jund doesn't have. They don't have fourth Aerolingus, you know? They don't have that ability to just out of nowhere.
Minsk and Questing Beast are probably the 2 closest.
Yep.
Maybe Chaos Defiler could change the game up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, yeah, like I just need to play real conservative, which is scary because I know the game's going to take 3, 4 more turns than when I've won. Like I've won, but I haven't stabilized.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and definitely changes things as well.
Yeah, it's unblockable, right?
Mm.
It's so scary.
Wow. This is shaping up to be a very tense nail biter. Like there's been swings on both sides. One person's like very favored and the other person's very favored. So good limited magic, right?
Yeah.
Nice combat math and
Once again, I just want to shout out Juzza. Playing Swamp there wasn't a misplay. We knew about the Swamp because that's the basic they searched off the Undercity.
Mm-hmm.
And they played the Catacombs so that they could fetch and surveil.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no misplay there from Juzza about revealing the last cards in hand.
Nice. Yeah, just so
He played tight all the way through the match, both matches. Such a tight player. Really impressed with Juzza.
Yeah.
Swords is so good. Part of me, I feel like I can relax, but he's going to gain 8 life.
Yeah. 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 Yep. Swords here. And this was inevitable, right? With the archives and, you know, like going through all of these things in the Monarch, you were eventually going to just fill your hand up and your opponent wasn't going to have a full hand. So, which allowed you to have choices, options, and so on. You just had to make sure you did not die.
Yeah. And now this is a really nice play because
Ooh. This. Yeah, you had the swords in hand and you want to just snap it straight off on that scavenging ooze, but instead you were attacking first.
Yeah. So my opponent, I want to bait the block. And then swords the thing that doesn't get blocked. Now I can't remember. I was quite confident my opponent would block with Shaman, but now that I'm looking back, I don't know why I was confident about that. Why was I so confident they would block with Shaman?
Because the scavenging ooze was their route to victory, I guess. Is that what you're thinking? Like they want to just like
yeah, I guess.
so they open up their best lines by having the 8/8.
Oh, because then they can make it. Yeah, no, then they can swing it as a 9/9.
Yeah, big thick boy.
Yeah. So I commit them to the block, then I swords the scoos. Because if I swords the scoos first, they probably wouldn't chump with the scoos.
Yep.
Might as well try to hit my land drop because I've got a handful of gas. And that's the thing with the Ents, you know, you just need to manage it based on how much gas you think. And like, how strong does this position look now?
It's a really good spot. Like I can't easily imagine you losing from here. However, they do have Undercity ready to like just trap you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Forge and trap with a haste creature like Questing Beast or Minsk and Boo. You know, like a Minsk would be really, really good. But again, I think you have threaded the needle through, you know, admittedly, Juzza on those turns that they were live to draw Minsk or they were live to draw, you know, removal spell. They were live to draw something. You had to thread the needle. And you had 2 turns there and it was really, really scary. And now it's like you're out of the woods. But
it's so frustrating playing so conservative when your opponent's top decking as well. Like
you're sitting there going like, I hope I don't die.
Yeah. And like there's a 99% chance you could just alpha and win. But you're so far ahead in your card advantage that you don't think you can give them. So then you end up giving them like 5 draws to potentially get out of it. Because you've committed yourself to the conservative line. So then every time you get that left is conservative, right is risky, and you just have to keep going left.
Yep, so true.
Oh, I finally get those endorphins, huh?
Nail biter. Nice. All right. So you defeat Juzza in the semifinals. So this brings you to the finals. So Beckett's made a really deep run here after not playing Highlander for 2 years, something like that.
Yeah, two and a half, I think.
It was printed. You have not played
Whenever
Highlander.
Initiative, yeah, it was printed.
That's 2 years. And now you picked up just Nono blue nonsense,
Not a good nonsense.
Nono blue design mistakes.
I did like my name, 90% Brandon
Nice.
and Sarv, 10% me. Yeah.
Well,
But no, it's a great result. And no more spoilers now. We're in the finals.
we're in the finals.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thanks everyone for watching and following Beckett's run in the Bluebell Open. Thanks to all of Beckett's opponents as well. We're going to see you in the finals match coming up soon.